this is Roger. Thanks for stopping by. This reminds me of a spoof news broadcast once, where all the newscasters were sat there at their desks, shuffling their papers like they do. And one of them looks at the camera and goes, "Today there is no news. Today we have nothing to report. Nothing has happened. There is no news." And it just, I don't know, it just sprung to mind when I opened the door to film something out here. It's just, in the main, everything is just going along okay. The few sort of problem type plants I've gone over recently, there's no point in going over them again. And if they weren't in the problem plant set, then they're in the doing okay set. And we've had a good look at quite a few of those lately. You know, we've been over all the Oncidium types. We had a look at the holy clay pots not that long ago. We've had a look at the Miltoniopsis. We've done some repotting. My plants that still need repotting that I'm not prepared to leave like till the autumn or anything like that are down to less than half a dozen now. There's only a few. A couple of those are derricks that got left last time because they were in bloom, and a couple of others. And some of those are down as I don't know when they were last done because I didn't do them, and I don't really know what they're in, but what they're in doesn't look bad. So they don't need, you know, there is no hurry. That's what I mean. So although they're on the list to do, they might not get done till the autumn. They might not get done till next spring. Depends how it goes. I mean, we've got everything in bloom isn't till the 8th. That's quite a long way away. So I can take the risk and we'll just have a quick look round some blooms. But there's nothing happening. It's just that time of year. Most stuff is in growing mode. I mean, most of the spring blooming Dendrobiums have been and gone. There's still a couple hanging on, but they're sort of done. Oncidiums are all in growth mode, basically. There's very few spikes on the oncidiums. Two, maybe three out of all those plants have actually got spikes at the moment. But very soon there'll be lots of spikes. But that's not now. I'm pointing the camera thinking, what can I film today? So spikes that may be there in a month's time are no good to me today. No good at all. But it's just everything's sort of okay. I mean, the first couple of blooms on this lovely Latoria are looking, you know, they're on their way out now. But then there's another spike coming, so there'll be some new ones to replace them. And those that are still here are still looking good. The plant's growing roots and has several new growths coming up at the base there, so the plant's doing okay. You know, it's just okay. Things are okay. All my little mounted cattleyas, my sort of compact cattleyas, all seem to be doing okay. They've all got new growths coming, including that one that I nearly lost. That's got a nice new growth coming now. That's looking okay. The spring Dendrobiums have got their new growths coming. Only one in the main, which is a pain. Look what I've just seen through the undergrowth. Can you see it? Right, we'll get that down and have a look. The Friedrichsianum has opened its first few blooms. We did see those buds swelling up not that long ago, so that was almost expected. But I will have to put the camera down to get that out, because I've got to move 2 or 3 plants out of the way to be able to get at it. All sort of things down through here. Yeah, it's just sort of okay. There's nothing that needs immediate attention, and there's nothing really that grabs my attention that we haven't seen recently. Today there is no news. And it is just a bit like that. And I warn you now, it's Friday today. I mean, I've got a travelling day tomorrow to go and get Hannah down for the weekend. That takes me up past lunchtime to get that job done. And then we're having a nice special meal tomorrow evening. You know, nice sort of lay the table with the posh stuff and all that sort of thing, because we haven't seen each other since Christmas. We're hoping to get some work done in the garden, and we're hoping to get my hair cut. So, you know, I'm going to be relatively busy over the weekend, and it's a long weekend. I mean, Hannah's going back later on Monday. So there might not be any videos at all over the weekend until we get to Tuesday. The one good thing is when we get to Tuesday, it's June. And the project orchids come back out of the cupboard. So we'll be doing our first project orchid video early next week. So we can get those underway again and see how those are doing. Yeah, there's just nothing much going on. I mean, this Konica is looking good at the moment. This has actually got quite a few clusters on the go now. There's more coming as well. So this is having a good flurry at the moment. This is a good set of clusters together there, so it makes it look like one big one, when in fact it's actually several smaller ones. That's the deep colour. That's the colour it is when it first opens. These have been open a little longer. They fade quicker to their paler colour the nearer the light they are. Now obviously this one down here is shaded by the plant, but this one's not. So that's that. Right, so as I said, videos are going to be thin on the ground until we get into next week now, and then we can get the project orchids going and you know, possibly get a couple of the repots done. Whoop! Right up my skirt. Right, I'll put the camera down and we'll get the Friedrichsianum down. Okay, so there's a lot more buds to come on this one. This is just like the first cluster to open. So as far as buds are concerned, we've got buds down here. These are on old leafless canes. Buds here, again on old leafless canes. Some up here on canes that still have some leaves. Again, more up here. Another set here. And then this big set here. Half of those are on a leafless cane, half are on a cane that's still got some leaves. Yeah, and there's some buds that have only just started. So this is going to be in bloom a while now. When this got its RHS award, it was at the Malvern show, and it was at its peak at that particular time, and it was its best year, luckily. And that was the middle of June. I think the date was the 16th of June. So middle of June it was at its best. So we can expect, you know, this to be in bloom probably right through June, possibly out the other end. But anyway, this is what the blooms look like. Let's see if I can do my camera close-up thing. See if it'll do it for me. There we go. So when they first open, they've got a lovely green colour in the centre. Of course, I'm leaning against it and knocking it all the time, so it keeps moving. So they're very attractive blooms. They're a typical Dendrobium shape, but this is not a typical Dendrobium in as much as it's unusual from the point of view it's a winter rester, and yet that winter rest doesn't seem to be required for the blooms, because the blooms come so much later. You know, you could say the buds don't even start until late spring, early summer, and to think that what happened in January, February has an influence on that seems odd to me. So it may be that this winter rest for this one is nothing more than that's where the plant comes from. So that's what it would get, not necessarily what it would need to bloom. Yeah? It might upset its growth pattern if it didn't get that cooler, brighter period. But, I mean, it's only just starting its new growths. As we head towards June, the month with Midsummer's Day in it, it's just starting its new growths. You know, those aren't going to finish growing until probably out into next year. So, yeah, it's a strange one, this. But, nonetheless, it got me an award once upon a time. It certainly wouldn't get anywhere near that in the state it's in now. If it wasn't for the fact that some of these older canes have actually decided to push a few buds out, I'd have cut them off. And after this blooming season, they are coming off. You know, things like this. So if I've got a leafless cane that doesn't actually produce any buds this year, it comes off. And that will tidy up the back of the plant no end. They're not serving any purpose anymore, if you see what I mean. The strength of the plant is in these fatter canes that have got the odd leaf on, that have still got a couple of leaves on, plus last year's growths, which aren't blooming. Yeah? So you can find last year's growths like that, yeah? Because they're not, they've got no buds. They're for next year. There's even one come down through here, yeah? Another one over here. So there's quite a lot of growths last year that are going to go into next year's blooming, and there's quite a few of them. So I think we should get quite a good blooming next year. And some of them up the top here are still growing. So anyway, something new to look at. Dendrobium friedericksianum. Or to be technically correct, Friedrichsianum Hannah CCC stroke RHS. Anyway, it's the only plant in the world with that name, because it was unique. And the award that I got was not for the plant, because it's not a hybrid. Although occasionally you can get an exceptional clone out of a bunch of seedlings that you can give a name to. You could get an award for that. But the award was for the grower. So it's unique to this plant. And that name can only be used on divisions of this plant. And that's it, really. Or should it be cloned, I suppose? Or produce seed, I don't know. I've never gone down that road. So anyway, a few new blooms to look at. There's nothing else new in here at all. Right. As I say, I don't know what's going to be happening with videos. You might not get another one till Tuesday. You know, take a break. It's a bank holiday weekend, or it is in the UK. Blow the rest of the world. You might have to go to work on Monday. But anyway, I think I'm going to use it as like a mini break and just not worry about it until Tuesday, when I've got one of my, what I call my busiest videos to do, because those project orchid videos are quite complicated. There's a lot goes into them. All the stills from last time have got to be bought out. They've got to have titles put on them. They've got to have their pop-up bloom put on, if I've got one. Yeah, that's got to have fades applied. And then I've got to do a soundtrack to go with that still, to say what it was like last time. Then I've got to record the video clip for this time and insert all those video clips in the gaps between the stills with the... They're quite complicated. They do take me a while, but I enjoy it because it gives me a refresher course on using the software. And that's probably the only time I actually use the software to any great extent. Most of the time I just stick the clip in, title at the front, music at the back, done. Which is what I shall do with this one. Right, enough waffling. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by.